All right, so in the previous video, we made action, right? The watermark here. So now what we're gonna do is I'm showing you how to make an action, so it'll just apply to multiple ones. But there is gonna be an issue with this. And hang on a second, let me just mute that. Okay, and that is this. When I go to save this, as it currently is, so this will be good as an action that would just it would save my action, and I would apply this individually to things. But it won't be good to do as a batch, and I'll show you why in a second. So, like I said, I can apply this to anything I want, but I'm going to show you why. So we're going to go to File, Automate, Batch. Okay, so just have nothing open, do a File, Automate, Batch. You can just close out of that. Don't save that image. So we're going to make it set to My Actions. Remember, I made my own folder called My Actions, but if yours is in Default Actions, it'd be in there. And then I only have watermark, but if you go to default, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of them, right? Because there's a bunch in there. So it's going to My Actions, watermark. Then it's going to ask for a source, and it's going to be a folder. So we're just going to go ahead and choose, and I'm going to choose the originals. Remember, that's where I have all of my images. I'm going to choose the originals folder. And then I like to click on the suppress file opening options and the color profile. You know, sometimes you open up a file, and if it's got like it's like, oh, this color profile is something. Do you want to use this? Do you want to use this? I'm just going to tell it not to bother me with any of that. So if there were any kind of issues, it's just going to say, screw that. Just go ahead and run the action. I don't really care. Okay. Now it needs the destination. So this is the source. These are the files that it's going to grab from, and then it needs to, where is it going to put them? So here, you could choose save and close, and what that's going to do is it's just going to literally open up the file, save it, and then close it back out. I don't really want to do that though, because if I do that, what will happen is that it'll override my original images, right? So I'm only making this watermark for my clients. I don't want my original ones to be tampered with. It's always good to keep your originals and then have your edited, but don't mix the, don't save over the originals, because then if you need to change something, I can't. And then I'll have a watermark on all my images that I don't have the originals to, and that won't be helpful. So I don't want to do save and close. I want to go to a folder, okay? So then I just choose the folder I want. In this case, I'm just going to, I had that folder watermarked that has nothing in it currently. It's just an empty folder. I want to save to that folder, so that way I know what they are. And then you will see this here. Now, if I run this isn't going to work, so don't run it. But watch it. Okay. It's going to go, okay, open it up, blah, blah, blah. And then it's going to make me, for every single one of them, hit save. So I'd have to hit save, and then it will do it. So you see, it did the watermark, but I don't want to have to hit save every time. That's just annoying, because what it's doing is it's making a new file, and it's making a PSD. I don't want to do that. What we're going to do instead is this. I'm going to hit cancel on that. I'm going to, stop. And actually, I'll leave it open right here. So, what I want you to do is this. You can close out of the batches thing and then just open up one of those files. So it's going to go originals, save this. Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and hit play on the watermark. Okay, so now it has the watermark. Now what I want to do is actually add to this the ability to save. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hit record. I want to add a thing to it. So now I'm recording, and now what I'm going to do is, so I already did the watermark, I'm recording, I'm on watermark. I'm going to hit File, Save As, and I'm going to save right to the watermarked folder that I had, okay? And I want to save these as JPEGs. And I won't change the name at all, I'm just going to make it a JPEG and hit Save. And that's fine, we'll hit OK. Okay, now I'm going to hit stop, and now you can see save is now part of this action. So this will be useful for the batch. You probably don't want to save it automatically every time. I mean, depending on what your what your action is. In this case, maybe I would, because it's a watermark, so that was obviously the whole purpose of it. But if I had something that's going to like do a filter, I might want to do other things other than just apply like an effect to it. I might want to like, make other adjustments. So you might not want to have save as part of it. I'm just going to put it here for my action in particular. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out of this. I'm not going to save it. and then just do File, Automate, Batch, and it should be all the same thing. So My Actions, Watermark, Folder, and then it already says the Originals folder. So again, we're just making sure that I have the folder that has all of my pictures in it, the original one. It's things that doesn't show you them, but they're in there. Yep, and then I'll suppress and suppress. Okay, and then I'm going to choose folder again for where I want to save to. And again, I'm just showing you, but it's on watermark. Okay, it's in that folder. This time, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to override the save as command. So you see, when this option is on, files will be saved to the destination folder only by save as steps in the action. If there are no save as or save as steps in, no files will be saved. Okay. So basically what it's saying is that before it was automatically saving it. Now that's not built. Now the action isn't doing, or the batch isn't doing it. It has to be in the action. But if you remember, we put that in there, so it should know to do it. Now it has these options here: document name and then extension. So you can add more, but basically you can have it like add the date to it, add some numbers. But every time it runs it, it's going to make the name this, and to give you an example of what it's going to look like. And now I'm going to hit OK. And you're going to see it's going to go through, and it's opening up each one. I'm not having to click Save As or any of that other stuff. I don't have to tell it to save. And I could leave. Like, let's say there's a whole bunch of them. I could just go walk away, go make some coffee if that's what you do. Watch a show if it's like really going to be a long time. And it's going to go ahead and apply those. Now, if you look, if I go into my watermarked and I double click, you are going to see someday you'll see. Do you see? You will see my watermark is now on all of these pictures. So I'm able to basically apply that action to a string of them, and instead of having to manually go. Now, like I said, that's only useful if you need to let's say all of your photos all have this one thing wrong. You can make an action and then just batch it, and it will apply to them all. Or such in the case, if we wanted to just throw in a watermark onto it, we could do it that way. Okay. Now, let me show you how to make it even easier. So that's pretty cool. Quite frankly, I would just leave it like that and use it as it is now. But there's another thing you create called a droplet. Figure we should show you it. So what you do is you go to File, Automate, and then you're going to see Create Droplet. Okay. So save Droplet in. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to save it into right here. And I'm just going to call my droplet watermark droplet. Okay? Save. That's what I'm going to name it. And it's going to go into my folder there. We'll go ahead and suppress. And then the folder, I'm going to choose a folder. I'm going to choose that same folder that we already had. What am I doing here? Desktop still. And class materials, DI, we10, finish, actions, batch, droplet, watermarked. Okay, and I'll hit select folder. Basically, if you look, it's exactly the same thing as a batch, and we'll override the save action. That's fine. We're going to override save action. It looks exactly the same as the batch. Okay, and then so you set up exactly the same way. It's going to look exactly the same, and then we'll hit OK. It didn't do anything. This is what it does. Now what you can do is something like this. So let me open up my file over, my folder. Okay, I'm going to go to, where are you at? Oh no, this is class materials. Digital imaging, week 10, finish, actions, batch, droplets. I have all my watermarks here. I'm just going to delete all of my watermarks just so you can see that nothing's in my hands. Okay. All right. And now I have this droplet. Okay. So this is what it allows you to do. Let me see. Open a new window. Okay. So I have my original images here. Okay. So again, these are not watermarked. What I can do is that I can close out of Photoshop. Go ahead and close right out of it. Don't even open. What I can do is I can grab all these pictures and I can drop them onto this watermark. And then what it's going to do is it's going to make my virus protector get all upset. Hopefully it will. Come on. This might happen to you too. Should have turned that off. It wasn't occurring to me that that might get upset whenever a program tries to open itself up. Yeah, I know no problem was found, you jerk. Okay, so I'm going to drop them on there. I'm not doing anything. I literally just dropped those pictures onto that droplet. Okay? See, my hands are up. I'm not touching anything. Unfortunately, my computer is slow, so I apologize. Bum, bum, bum. I don't want to like pause the video because then you won't see what it does. But what it's going to do is this. It's going to automatically open up Photoshop. Hopefully, I don't have to deal with any of this. Shouldn't have to do anything. Is it? Oh. Guess I have to... Well, because it's trying to run this. But seriously... did it do it? I don't think it did it. Not... Okay. No, it's... It like opened up an older version of Photoshop for some reason. Oh no, 2021. I was using 2020. Yeah, okay, so open... Basically, this is what it's going to do. I don't know what's going on with it. But basically, this is what it does. You grab it, you drop it onto your droplet. Apparently, it must install 2021 when I didn't know. And so now it's trying to open that up, and now it thinks it's new, and it wants me to look at it. But basically, you drop the series of images onto the droplet, and what it's going to do is it's automatically going to open up Photoshop. It's going to run that batch, and then close Photoshop down. And then what the result is it's not here. It will actually run the action. So what it allows you to do is that you don't even have to open it up. It'll run the batch through the droplet. So you can make a whole series of droplets, not have to worry about opening up Photoshop manually, and just drop your images onto the droplet, and it will run the action that way. I honestly don't find that like to be super helpful, but let's say you have like some sort of like cool action or that you made and you don't want to like people to have it, you could like make a droplet and then send it to somebody, be like, hey, you want to do that effect, here's a droplet, and they could just, as long as they have Photoshop, they could drop their images onto it and it will make that effect happen, if that makes sense. So it's kind of a neat little thing that it can do, but it's not really necessarily like my favorite thing, right? So I would just make the actions and then, you know, run them as batches if you need to. Okay, so yeah, that was it for that. So that's how actions, batches, and droplets work.